2. Now let's move on to part 3. So just a second. Speaking part 3 topics. We were talking about films. Here we go. Now, as you know, in the exam, you won't be able to see the questions, but we're just practicing. So, do you think the cinema has increased or decreased in popularity in recent years?
These days, I think that somehow because of the corona things or too many pandemics we had or we have these days, the popularity is going to decrease. And also there are couple of reasons which accompany this, like the price of tickets goes up because of for example, corona made cinemas to start their career with 50% capacity. So it's make it much harder for ordinary people. So it's going to be decreased. It has so
Okay.
it quite a bit, but in different ways. I believe that in the future, projectors going to be more trend in communities. So every people or every building have a little cinema for themselves. So the type of cinema is going to be more indoors or in more in our house.
Mm. What are the advantages and disadvantages of making films of real life events?
I like to start with advantages. Uh, for example, if it's a historical event, it can make make us familiar or give us informations or even make us to have a sense of patriotic.
Evan.
However,
What's Evan? You mean even?
even even make, even make us have a patriotic sense, but there's some disadvantages. This either, for example, for making the movie more interesting, they had to uh, somehow put more fictional senses or somehow exaggerate things, which going to somehow distort or going out of the way.
Okay, thank you. Not sure if you are trying to say this word or not. This word
I,
is
I
patriotic.
wanted to say this
Patriotic. Repeat after me. Patriotic.
patriotic.
You were mispronouncing the word. It was difficult to understand what you were trying to say. Pronunciation is very, very important. Now, it has two pronunciations, as you can see in the phonetics. Here, there is an a sound, so you can say patriotic, okay, or a
Yeah,
patriotic. So listen,
patriot.
Patriotic.
patriotic,
Patriotic.
patriotic. Yeah,
Okay,
patriotic.
okay.
British people also say patriotic. So I don't know if it depends on the region or something, but I've heard both. I've heard patriotic and patriotic. Moving on. How important do you think it is for a filmmaker to remain true to the original story?
There are a couple of reasons that can be considered. For example, the writings or the story of the movie. So depends on that. Also, it depends for the target consumer, which consumers you want to produce your movie for them. So if it's a child, somehow maybe you should somehow make it easier to understand or something like that.
Remember, depends always on you said depends on, and then later on you said it depends for. You don't have to. Always depends on. So the first time you used it correctly, the second time, I don't know why you used for. Should
Okay.
films and television be censored, or should we be free to choose what we see?
In my opinion, almost everything should be freely accessible, but they have to be some censored things for some age regions. For example, if you're under 18, maybe it's better to don't have access to, for example, too much action movies or terrifying movies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. How do you think censorship laws will change in the next 20 years?
Mm, It's somehow different, but in my opinion, there's going to be no censorship because of the internet. People have access to everything they want. So government's hands somehow going to be shorter on everything.
All right, thank you. That's enough for today. Um,